What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. And the more I play around with this calculator, the more I realize, wow. So, we're going to go with a Paladin build. I do like this, the fact, I'm thinking to myself, let's take a look at the healing spec. Then I see this. Protector. I'm like, oh shit. So this is crazy. Orb of protection. Right? It's just, oh my gosh. Now I would probably use this more for healing. But the simple fact of it is your heals are 20. I wouldn't even worry about dodge rolling. Block. Here it is. When you block a melee attack, gain 5% max magicka. Wow. Targeted heal for 100% weapon damage. Plus 30% more for each buff on that target. Shootout, light projectile that deals... the funny thing about it is... it's crazy. This is nuts. For each buff on the target. This is so crazy. Heavy attacks, grant fortitude. Yep. If you have a buff, heal for 10% more. Oh, jeez. When you get hit below 50%, gain 10% haste. I mean, if you're in a whatever. Increase regeneration for you and your group members. Yeah. When you heal a target with light embrace, gain 1% of your max mana for each buff your target has. Buffs you grant last 20% longer. So the biggest thing about it is when you heal with Light's Embrace, extended life staff buffs by 2 seconds. We need one more into this. There's a buff. Now, I think the third ability is going to be the biggest importance. We definitely want to get these buffs. No longer take magicka. I'm trying to wonder. Cooldowns. Reduce all your cooldowns. I just definitely think the Splash of Light's going to be a better one. many points? 3 left. The base health of all. There's a buff. Eh. 2 points left. I like the speed one. I like the fact that I can debuff myself. I don't know. But it's just phenomenal because basically I could set all of this in, go secondary, and then go sword and board and build up the taunts. You know? That's what's nuts. It's just vast. You want to get that passive too. Don't really care about that one as much on this one. Definitely want to get that mitigation. So it's kind of interesting because there's just so much you can do. Instead of building into the strength to worry about anything, you would still put into the Constitution. And then you'd focus. You add to the monopool, you know, add to the buffs, and pretty much you'd have a paladin. If you wanted to increase damage, you could go strength or intel, but for this build, you would just be literally you know, it's just crazy. You know, it's just, there's so much that you can do with this game based on these configurations, and that the fact that we know that we can get these stats, these other stats through armor. So if I want to get, let's say, work more on the critical end of my healing, I would take intellect pieces, right? This is what I'm trying to say, man. Like, you would literally have a paladin like this. Nuts and more nuts. Roz, you think a new world will get small scale PvP in this game free? If they add it, it will be free. The question of it is, will they do it? It's a determining factor because Small scale PvP is relatively faster to getting involved with. You know, you can bounce in and out at your leisure. And currently, it doesn't have a smaller scale PvP. It has things to do, but for a lot of players, once they've capped out or they geared out, sometimes they just want to get into, like, you come home from work, you have an hour to do something. You don't want to blow an hour. You want to get in PvP, but your larger scale fights accumulate a lot more time. So you get smaller scale PvP matches, and now you have, like Battlegrounds. Yeah, so as Battlegrounds, a lot of other games have like skirmishes or something, and it doesn't eat up so much time. So if they get small scale PvP, well, lights out for everybody. Lights out. Lights out. Well, at least for PC platform. If this goes console, I don't think they'll do it. They've said that they're not going to do it, but just because they say it doesn't mean they won't. Can they? Yeah. It's all coded the same. It's basically just a different operating system and mapping a controller. BDO did it. Every game can do it. I hate when somebody's like, we can't. Bullshit. It's C++ coding. Shut up. Yes, you can. You can. Absolutely. It's not like it's a different language. It's just a different a different op system. That's all it is. Configuring that code to that op. That's all. But, yep. Pretty much said and done. This game is just nuts. This game is loopy in a good way, because you could like make even a glass cannon if you want to. Like if I was a caster, I could literally just say I want to be a glass cannon with high sustain, intel, and focus. Well, you can go resto like a flame, resto staff, and have yourself sustained in that way for casting. They need more staffs. Just have a fire staff and a healing and a life staff is kind of plain Jane. Get storm staff, all sorts of stuff. They need to make it where you select your weapon at the beginning instead of whatever. I hate the fact that you start off with sword and board. It's kind of a little, whatever, lackluster. But literally you could go like this and you can just say, okay, I'm gonna go fire staff on the first one, and basically, you got pyromancer and fire mage. Holy shit. While holding a fire staff and below 50% max health, damage is increased. Oh shit. Oh shit balls. Your max mana, heavy attacks. Oh my god. You just want the critical. You want anything critical. Burns. Dots. This is going to be burst damage. AoEs. Oh my god. See, take this. You could go down here and then take the burning effect. The extended burn. Pfft. Oh my god. Crazy. I'm going to say this to play. Yeah, it's buy to play. You buy the game and it's free after that. They will bring it in my opinion, eventually. They have controller support already built in. Maybe a few years it will come to PS. Probably in about a year and a half, 2 years. Usually after a launch, they start contemplating whether or not to extend it to the other platforms based on how well it does. BDO was, what, 2 years after its launch, it got in. It started developing. About the third year, about almost the third year, it released to the consoles. So usually right after launch is going to be whether or not they plan on it. If you don't hear anything within 8 months to a year, it'll shelf it. Games like Ashes of Creation will never see console. Never. Why? Because they built too heavy into the PC platform. They didn't configure for a controller spec. Like you said, Snoop, they've already built for, they already have controller support through Steam. If they map the controller completely where you don't need a keyboard and mouse. PlayStation used to have keyboard and mouse functionality. I don't know if it still does. Back when PlayStation 2 came out, there was a game called EverQuest, whatever. You could literally plug in your keyboard and mouse and play like a standard EQ game. So I don't know if PlayStation still has that. I've never tried it. But imagine, if you will, just configuring this for those platforms. This game would just decimate everything. And the layouts is what is the appeal factor. So, like I said, this game has a vast build system. It has a very, because it's able to cross, into the different passives, pick up whatever skills you want. I think they need more skills, to be honest. I think that's the one thing holding it back. I would add one more skill. Even on each, that would give you 2 more abilities off the global cooldown. And if they could do that, PvE would be better, and build configurations would be more diverse because of the passive pickups. So it's crazy, man. It is nuts. The things like, this will be a strong build configuration for PvP. Like Resto Fire or Life Fire. This is going to be the caster's way to go. Any caster is going to build heavily into these 2 staffs. They could go gauntlets. So gauntlets isn't necessarily out of the equation because they do have ice gauntlets. So, you could go fire ice. You could go ice resto. You could go, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. But the only problem with fire ice is you're dependent on outside heal or pots. But if you go with life gauntlets or life fire, yeah, totally. Anyways, I want to let you guys go. I wanted to show you guys. Click the link below. Go check out the calculator. And trust me, if you have a PC and you're a PvPer, the game's not ready. It's not, in my opinion. But like I said, it's a contender. It's worth checking out. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you, Snoop. Thank you, Ross, for stopping in. Hope everything's been going good over there, Ross, with the house. I hope everything's been working good for you guys. I'm just glad no one got hurt. And as always, I'm Mystic Raven. This is Mystic's MMOs.